This is good for your business. This will help productivity. This will help turnover. This has a big effect on your bottom line.
So how did corporate philanthropy start at Home Depot?
Well, it actually happened at Home Depot by mistake. One of our associates called up about a lady who was very, very poor, and rain was coming through the roof in her house. And she came in the store with $5, and she said, "That's all I have. There's nothing else I have." And I said, "Oh my God," I said, "we have a lot of people like that. What do you suggest?" He said, "Well, if you supply the roofing, we in the store will do the repairs." And so I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And we did it. And of course, she was just overwhelmed. While they were in the house, they found out she had a bad railing on her deck. They fixed the railing. They had bad lights. They fixed the light. They basically did a redo on the house. This woman could never have had that. And she was so thankful for it. And everybody in the store participated. By the way, on a time off. This was not done on the clock. It was done, we gave all the materials and they did all of this work on their time off. Everything starts a little at a time. And to say I don't have enough money to do it, I mean, we started Home Depot, that story about the roof with this woman that the water was leaking in, we didn't have much money at that time. This is at the beginning. And believe me, for us to give the materials up on a roof was a challenge for us, but it paid off big time. That store became one of the most productive stores that we had. I mean, everybody was so anxious to come to work because they saw the things that we do that the store became profitable overnight. We found it was a great builder of character in the store. People were proud of what they did, their accomplishment. They talked amongst each other. It was something that was out of the ordinary. We said, my God, Arthur and I both said, what a wonderful idea this is. Why don't we just expand this and do this throughout the chain? And we started it, I guess, 30 years ago. Today, there are 2,200 and I think 70 stores at Home Depot in Mexico, Canada, and every one of them is doing something like that. It's the store that does it for the community that they're in, and that's the store issue. Now, on top of that, as the company, Home Depot, we're very much involved, even today, with veterans who are coming back from the war, building houses for those who have lost their legs and arms, helping them with post-traumatic stress, training them for jobs at Home Depot, in fact. And so this culture of doing something for the community is part and parcel of what Home Depot is all about. And it's the reason that people at Home Depot feel so good about the company, feel proud of the company that they work for, respect their bosses a hell of a lot more.
How does corporate generosity really help the bottom line? Like, what's the real business value in it?
First of all, it's good for your company. It's good for you. Number three, it's good for the associates and the people, the employees that work for you. And if that helps you in an area, I can guarantee you that if your company does it on a consistent basis, that productivity in your company will increase. I've seen it, I know it. I know that every year we lose people in businesses. It cuts down dramatically on that. People stay with a company like this. They're proud to be part of it. They're proud when they go home and they talk to their families, say, you're not gonna believe what we did today. This is not the bottom line that they're talking about. This is something extraordinary. So our policy was never to advertise it. We never did. And most people don't know we did it. And yet, I point to it as one of the most successful things that we did at Home Depot, outside of the kind of profit that we did. There's no question about it. If you don't lose people, if your productivity increases, if people have more respect for who they work for, and respect is a long thing. If people work for you because they need the job, and you see people and you say to them, how you doing? They say, I'm hanging on. Well, if you have a lot of people just hanging on, your business is not going to be a good business. If you have business, and people here people in my community tell me all the time, come in a Home Depot store and they say, why do you work here? And they say, I love working here. Now that attitude means that they are going to treat customers better. They're going to treat our inventories better. They're going to be better and more productive. And so how does that not help the bottom line? It does help the bottom line. There's no question about it. Many of the CEOs or the companies, people that run companies, will say, well, it's too expensive. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's too expensive. If it cuts down the amount of people, attrition, that leave your business to go find better jobs, every time somebody leaves you, it costs you X number of dollars to train those people. You keeping people saves you a lot of money. And this is part of the productivity I'm talking about. I just think that people out there, like the business community, this is something that'll be good for you. You'll feel good about yourself. Sometimes the bottom line and the quarterly profit numbers don't quite give you the flush that you should have, but doing good in the community and watching the results of it, I think are just as good as a great annual report.
Sometimes people don't realize all the ways that companies impact the community. So how do you get the word out about the good that comes from the business community?
Well, we're depicted as inhuman human beings that do everything for profit, don't do anything for anybody else. I've known so many CEOs in my life, I can't tell you, maybe thousands, and I don't know anybody that fits that mold. And I think that the business community has to understand that we have to change it ourselves within our companies. And there are millions of people working for companies all over the United States. If all of these companies started doing the kind of things that they can do and give the real nature of what business is all about. Now, this is an opportunity for two things. Number one, to help the population that needs help, but to help your personal view of your employees, of you, in these companies. And I think that the more companies that do this, that we can change. You do want to change the perception of people that work for you and people that just look at you as a paragon in their community. And I think it does change. Everybody that works for Home Depot, they know it. We have over 400,000 people working for Home Depot today. You think that 400,000 people, that their families don't know it, their friends don't know about it, all their acquaintances don't know about it. So millions of people actually know about it without going out and having to pump our chests.
So when did you realize that this culture of giving had really taken root at the Home Depot?
Oklahoma City bombing was, I don't know how many years ago. This terrible event happened. We had 2 stores in Oklahoma at that time, Oklahoma City. And I remember driving in and hearing about the report on radio. By the time I got to the office, I called both stores. I was very concerned that people in the store were involved, or their families or friends, and I knew they needed counseling. And no, the managers weren't there. Either manager was not there. And I was a little irritated by the fact that they weren't there. And I said, as soon as they come in, you better have them call me. And the day went by, and it took hours before they called me. I said, where the hell were you? And they both independently said when they heard about the bombing, they both had trucks in the store, came to the store, loaded the trucks with emergency equipment, shovel, picks, hammers, electrical things, tarpaulins, anything that a rescuer might need. And he was first on the scene. He got there before the emergency vehicles got there, and people were digging out of the rubble. They had the picks, they had axes that he brought along with him. I don't know how he thought about it. And then I called the other manager. He did it independent. They hadn't talked to each other. They both did the same thing. And they both said, I know we're going to get fired because we don't know what we took. All that inventory is unaccounted for. Nobody's going to pay for it. And so I guess we're going to be fired. No, you're actually the biggest heroes we have. And that was a telling moment for us for the company, for Home Depot itself. Since that bombing, and I could tell you the trade building in New York, the Pentagon, we were on scene in both places. We're the only trucks allowed in the area, by the way, bringing equipment in. Both at the Pentagon. In the Pentagon, we brought lumber in to shore up the walls. This has become a process with Home Depot. If there's a hurricane, if there's a tornado, in any area in the United States, Home Depot trucks are on a roll. They're ready to go. We have the equipment ready, and we send it there. So Home Depot lives this, and we do it every single day. If while this thing is showing, there's a tornado somewhere in the United States, you can bet that Home Depot people are on the scene and actually doing things like cutting trees down, helping people out of houses, helping them out of the flooded areas. So it's become a company thing, and it's all part of the Home Depot culture. This is part of a culture that Arthur and I envisioned that this would be something. I mean, there's something more than making money. There's something more than becoming wealthy. And we know the people we touch. We often see the people that we touch. And it's heartwarming to know that you've touched a life and you've changed a life for the better. So that's the story of Oklahoma City bombing.
Mr. Marcus, why did you help to launch Go Beyond Profit? I mean, what does Go Beyond Profit really mean to you?
Well, it means go beyond profit. It means look past your bottom line, that there are other things in life besides making money. And it means the whole being. It means you, how you're going to be affected by this as a human being. Maybe some of you are so busy with your business that you don't have time for any of this, that you just are so focused. And I have to tell you something, rounding out your personality may not be the worst thing in the world either. Maybe it's time for you to get your nose out of the books and start doing something that really is meaningful and can balance you as a human being, as a whole person. As somebody who is totally focused on their business ends up being a pretty miserable human being. They may be wealthy but human, but inhuman and just not enjoying anything. And by the way, it falls off to your family as well. And I think Rick Jackson's idea of other companies doing this is a great idea. And I think that Rick Jackson had the right idea, that this is really good. It's hard to start if you're somebody who's never done this before. It's almost painful. But my God, you may change your personality. You may change your whole life. You may start to enjoy giving, and you may start to see the benefits of it. And wouldn't that be wonderful for you and your family? I met a young kid recently. This is a couple of months ago when I was back in Atlanta. And he was 27 years old. And he came up to me and he said, "I want to thank you for my life." Thank you for my life. Tall, strapping, good-looking kid. I said, "Well, what did I do?" And he said, "I had a stroke." And they took me to the Grady Stroke Center. And I was paralyzed. He said, "Look at me. Everything's moving." He said, if I hadn't gone to Marcus Stroke Center, I probably would be bedridden in a wheelchair today. And I just want to hug you. What's a hug me? Well, how does that make you feel? You tell me how I felt. It's emotional. It goes into every fiber of your body, to knowing that we changed this kid. I didn't do it, of course. I didn't do it. I mean, the doctors at the Marcus, at the Grady Hospital did it and saved this kid. And I hear this story over and over again. Constantly, wherever I go, I run across people who say, "Thank you so much for what you've done." Everybody, when I give a speech, I say to everybody, don't thank me, thank Home Depot. The hardworking kids at Home Depot, the 400,000 kids that continue to do every day what they do allows me to do all the great things I do with my philanthropy today. But I'm going back again and telling you, this is good for your business. This will help productivity. This will help turnover. This has a big effect on your bottom line. And those of you who don't give, don't get it yet, try it and you'll get it.